In many instances, students have got a $100 credit. So thereby you can use this $100 credit within 2 months and create the server, so on and so forth. I will teach you as to how to do the installation on Ubuntu server. Now, why Ubuntu server? Ubuntu server is the most common Linux server that is used in a commercial grid. And it is quite easier to maintain a server work on a server rather than a local system. You can spin out servers as and when you require, rather than what I have seen in my experience. If you try to install on a local system, then laptops crashing, so on and so forth, we can avoid. Of course, I will give you an idea of how to do the installation on Windows if you are really interested. I will point out to the right place as to how you would work, just in case you want to install on Windows. Then we will move on into the next part. Within part 1 is mere architecture, where you will be learning about the database. Mirth itself has these components. The database server administrator launcher command line interface and command line interface. So about why these components and the entire architecture stuff you are going to learn about. The part 2 is going to be Mirth components, which will cover dashboard channels, users alerts, events, extensions and various other Mirth components. Then, after which we will move into the Mirth channel structure, which will include what are all the various. We will actually open up a Mirth Connect and we will see a typical channel, a component of a channel, and what is the importance of each one of them. In part 3 of Mirth. About Mirth in part 3. You will learn about filters and transformers. During this time, I will be showing a few small examples, so that you can understand about the various parts of Mirth, which is going to be handy in session 7 to 10. So if you look at session 7 to 10, what is going to be covered is it's all hands-on. The whole idea is if I make you to do in one session, if I showcase it to you, the expectation is that after the session you go try it out yourself. And if you have any doubts, the next day we will try to sort out some of the doubts. Since all the sessions will be recorded, you can refer to the recordings and as well as try to do it yourself. And this is the place where I say, even if you do not have real programming knowledge, not a problem. Trying to do using this programming session and with a little bit of reading skills, I can share you a very small course about JavaScript. If you know the basics of JavaScript, it is good enough. And one can learn basics of JavaScript in 6 to 7 hours. I have seen a lot of people who have just the basic healthcare knowledge also picking up JavaScript. So hands-on part 1. We are going to convert a comma-separated value into JSO. JSO is a JavaScript object, notation object, which is commonly used in today's world, where most of the solutions are built around application program interfaces. The second example within part 1 is where we are going to convert a comma-separated value, which will contain patient information, into an actual HL7-we2 message. which you would have learned in the first few sessions. Now, this would give you an idea, a little bit, of how to transform from one format to another format, and certain transformations. As the hands-on keep on going, it becomes a little bit more and more complex. And that is the way how it has been built. In part 2, we are going to install OpenEMR. Like I mentioned, we are going to do it on. We are going to use DigitalOcean. The simple reason why I use DigitalOcean is it is pretty simple to do all our work. Many people find it very easy to run the scripts, whatever has been given, compared to Amazon Web Services, which is much more complicated. So we will install OpenEMR. This should take around 30 minutes maximum. And after which, we will create an inbound. We will create an ADT receiver, where patient information is received via HTTP. Running HL7 over HTTP has just come up very recently. Till recently, HL7 used to work only through TCP or through file servers. We will learn as to how to use HL7 using HTTP along with Postman. I am expecting you would have already installed Postman on your systems. Using Postman, we will send a message which is going to be received by this receiver and push the data into OpenEMR. And we can use OpenEMR to check whether the patient has got created. This is the first session. In this session, we will be mimicking something very close to real life. Requirements. After which we are going to write validations. And while we write validations, that is the time you are going to understand as positive and negative. Okay. And after which, we are going to create an outbound channel which will be using database trigger. We will be using OpenEMR. We are going to create a lab order. When we create a lab order, the expectation is that it gets generated and stored in a particular file. Now your source becomes a database, whereas your destination is a file. And whatever the content that is there becomes an HL7 message. Now that we have a lab order, the last hands-on is going to be an inbound. Over here we are going to hand create a lab result. We are going to take something very simple, a complete blood count with 6 or 7 parameters. We are going to create the HL7 message by hand. Then send this over. Create a TCP/IP sender. Send this to a result receiver. This result receiver, I have already coded and I have given you the concept. This is the most complicated mod program. That would be the final session. By the time you have seen these 4 hands-on